Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. It is ICR Daredevil back with another episode in our AEW What If series in TEW2020. It is week 3 in June in 2020 and we are continuing on with stuff here in AEW. We've got a lot of the feuds going on and what was supposed to be a filler episode of Dynamite last week turned out to be a really good one, thanks to that main event of Matt Sydal and Adam Cole putting on one hell of a banger, which, to be fair, wasn't that surprising, but still. Here tonight, we have it revealed on the social medias by Tony Khan ahead of time, that he likes to do, that we have a tag team match in our main event featuring Pac team up with El Generico to take on Tyler Black and Miro. So that should be one hell of an interesting tag team matchup, especially with the rivalries between the four men in that match recently. On top of that, we have Mercedes in action tonight. We also will have the Young Bucks, our tag team champions, in non-title action tonight, and so much more. So let's dive into things with our unofficial dark, which thankfully I only have a few more weeks in game before I can stop saying that. But we open up with Dr. Britt Baker and Karen Q getting a victory over Brooke Havoc and Kylan King in 6-11 when Baker gets Havoc to submit the lockjaw. 39 rating. King and Havoc are not under AEW contract. They were just local talents we brought in for the night because I figured, Brooke Havoc, graduate of the Nightmare Factory. Kind of made sense. Kylan King was in the area, and it was two faces I could use to put Baker and Karen Q over. Baker's kind of in that weird flux thing right now where, she lost the feud to Kaylee Ray, and now she's just kind of floating out there right now. So she has this tag team matchup, gets the victory. Got to kind of build her up because she's still, in-ring wise, is not quite there yet. She's at a 46 in-ring performance, so she's getting better. But she's not quite at the level of someone who I want to, see as a top star in the women's division yet. So we're getting her there, but we still got a little bit of work left to do for her. So, but nevertheless, Baker and Karen Q with the victory here. Also in dark, we see Bear Country pick up a victory over SCU when Bear Bronson pinned Scorpio Sky with the choke bomb. 44 match, 44 from Bronson and Boulder, 42 from Scorpio, and 33 from Daniels. Slight rant here. It is kind of funny because I had to do this matchup with Scorpio taking the loss. I wanted to have Christopher Daniels take the loss because I knew he was the weaker in-ring performer, but he refused to put either man over. He refused to put either man from Bear Country over. So it is kind of funny that he was the weaker in-ring performer, is the least popular of the group right now of SCU, but he refused to put over a couple young talent who are trying to find their spot here in AEW. So that's kind of interesting. But, 44 here, not bad. Bear Country getting a win. 44 in-ring performances is one of those things where, they maybe some more time being built up and maybe they'll have a chance to start getting featured a little bit more. 4,393 people in attendance for the show, by the way. We also get Hangman Adam Page. I knew this was going to lose heat. That's fine. It's what it is. Hangman Adam Page comes out on Dark and says that Adam Cole may have forgotten, or Adam Cole, the issues between the two of them need to come to an end. He's tired of dealing with them. He wants to prove once and for all that he can take care of Adam Cole. And says that he can't wait to get his hands on him. That's essentially what it is. It's a 39 rated segment. I knew it wasn't going to be good. That's why I put it on our unofficial dark. It did lose heat for the storyline, but the storyline has enough heat right now that it can take a loss. Again, I got to work on, if Hangman's going to be a decent name at all for us, I got to work on his promo skill. Because, as you see right there, he got a 39 for his promo. Not good. And that was rated on entertainment, and it was scripted. So, it's, he's not going to do a whole lot better than that unless he keeps cutting promos. Then we saw Frankie Kazarian defeat Mike Sydal in 6:33 by pinfall to Back to the Future. 51 rating, 56 from Kazarian, 36 from Mike Sydal. As Kazarian still kind of floating out there as kind of like a mid-carder who isn't quite good enough to kind of break into something meaningful in AEW right now, but can still go and all that. And then our main event of Dark sees Kaylee Ray pick up a victory over Thea Trinidad in 8:43 by pinfall Swanton Bomb. 54 from the match, 57 from Kaylee Ray, 42 from Thea Trinidad. Of course, Trinidad part of the Dark Order. Taking a loss here. Now, you are probably sitting there saying, Daredevil, why did you put Kaylee Ray and Thea Trinidad on Dark when you were kind of pushing those two recently? Well, they're still being pushed, but, sometimes we just don't have enough room on 2 hours for Dynamite to feature everybody on a weekly basis, or even mostly weekly. Kaylee Ray won that feud with Dr. Britt Baker, but she doesn't really have too much going on for her right now because the plans I have in motion kind of have to have some other things play out first. And Thea Trinidad is kind of she's more of like a part-time manager, part-time wrestler kind of role when I'm bringing her in. Like, she's going to be wrestling here and there, but she's going to be kind of more focused on being like a manager for the Dark Order. Managing Tommy End, but also managing the rest of the group. And so it's kind of like more like occasionally she'll be wrestling kind of thing. And so she takes a loss here. 54, not bad. Not bad for this match. This, would have been okay on Dynamite. Not great, but it would have been okay. It could end up being better than a match or two I had planned for Dynamite already, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Nevertheless, 54 rating, not bad there. Dynamite opened it up with a 71 rated segment with Steven Regal. He is backstage in his office, and he announces that in 2 weeks' time, the first week of July, first Wednesday of July, that is, there will be a special Dynamite. It will not be just a regular Dynamite. It will be Fight for the Fallen. That's right, we are doing a special Dynamite. I mentioned it in the last episode, or maybe 2 episodes ago, where I was going to consider doing, special event Dynamites at times. This is going to be our first one. We're doing Fight for the Fallen, but we're not going to do it as an official event. I thought about setting it up as a quote-unquote charity event in the game, but I decided against it. So we're just going to do it as like a special Dynamite where, on screen, like kayfabe-wise, I guess, all the proceeds, all the ticket sales and everything like that will be donated to the troops and all that stuff, but we're going to leave it as a Dynamite just because I didn't want to go through the whole thing with like trying to set it up as an event and all that. So, in 2 weeks' time, we're going to get a special Fight for the Fallen Dynamite, and we'll have some matches on there. Steven Regal says that we'll have some interesting matches, as he knows of a couple matches he has planned for that show already. And we'll have to kind of see how it plays out. So there's that. 71 rating here for that. Then we get a International Championship matchup that gets a 64 rating as Johnny Gargano defeats Desmond Xavier in 9:41 by submission with Crosstown Crab, making defense number 3 of the International title. 64 rating, 60 from Gargano, 59 from Xavier. In my mind, the idea was that Xavier, by beating Robbie Eagles last week on Dynamite in that random match that I set up, got him in line for a shot at the International title. It's kind of one of those things where like Gargano watched that match and was impressed by Xavier's work, so he gave him a title shot here tonight, and Gargano was able to get the victory, retain this title. But really good matchup there. 64 rating, I'll take that for sure. We got a 43 here. To be fair, if I'd done this the opposite way, it would have been even worse of a rating. Not the opposite way, but if I'd done this, flipped, it would have been even worse of a rating. Because Riho and Kylie Ray not the greatest at promos in this right now. So that's why, that's kind of the reason why they have Mickie James managing them. Mickie James cuts promo on behalf of her clients on Rosemary and the Bunny, saying that her clients, saying that Riho and Kylie are not afraid of the dark. They're not afraid of whatever spooky powers that Rosemary and the Bunny want to throw out there, and that when the time comes, Riho and Kylie will defeat them. So 43 here, just kind of advancing that storyline a little bit because I didn't have anything else planned for the storyline this week. 39 here for this. We're putting an end to the storyline. This storyline, I haven't been doing much of anything with it, and what I had been doing just looked bad, so I'm just getting rid of it. But the Spoiled Brats call out Tenille Dashwood for a match. They want to take her on a handicap match. Tenille says that she figured that this was going to happen, so she talked to Regal on her way out and found herself a tag team partner for the night. It's Hikaru Shida. So it's going to be Tenille Dashwood and Hikaru Shida taking on the Spoiled Brats, Aria Blake and Selena De La Renta. And at 55, well, 55's not bad. 55 rated matchup. Tennille Dashwood and Hikaru Shida defeat the Spoiled Brats in 908 when Dashwood pinned Aria Blake with a spotlight kick. Aria was a weak link. She had a 33. 42 from De La Renta. 58 from Shida and 55 from Dashwood, putting an end to the storyline. Dashwood able to shut these kids up, basically. It's basically what it is. I need to figure out something more for Dashwood and Shida really be doing, but yeah, De La Renta got a little bit of improvement out of the storyline. I mean, she's up to a 42 in her performance now, which is not too bad. It's only a little bit behind Britt Baker at this point, so that's interesting. But yeah, Aria wasn't really getting better during this, and Dashwood was kind of just floundering because it was kind of hard to do much of anything with it because it's like, I wasn't exactly going to have a singles matchup between Tennille and, it could have ended up with a singles match between Tennille and Selena, but I didn't know if I wanted to put that on Dynamite, so it would have just ended up on Dark or the pre-show of a pay-per-view. But we'll blow it off here and kind of see where things go with these four heading forward. But 55 here, not bad there. 57 here, as the Young Bucks cut a promo and they say, hey, they haven't really been featured the last couple weeks. They're busy being tag team champions. They're doing publicity stuff for AEW. But they're here, and they're finally kind of putting a response out there to Penta and Phoenix interrupting them a few weeks ago during a promo, saying, hey, if they have no problem taking them on. They have no problem kind of doing this, this battle between what some could say is the top two tag teams in AEW. They just, the Penta and Phoenix just have to name the time and place for it. 57 rating here, as we gain here for the storyline. Then the Bucks have a tag team matchup where they defeat the Prisoners of War in 801 when Matt Jackson pins Stephen Macklin with Meltzer Driver. 63 rating, pretty good there. Macklin with 68, or Macklin. Saw Macklin was really off his game and I read it as that. Matt with a 68, Nick with a 66, Steve Macklin with a 38, who was really off his game, and Weston Blake with a 45. Not bad. Blake and Macklin, could possibly be doing something, but nevertheless, the Bucks getting a victory here. Getting a non-title victory here on Dynamite. And we'll have to see if the Lucha Bros end up responding, and if so, when that match ends up happening. 47 here for this. I knew it wasn't going to do that hot, but that's fine. It is what it is. Jonathan Fatu has a quote-unquote interview with Brandy Rhodes. So the idea behind this was that Brandy Rhodes was handcuffed to a chair, and Jonathan was kind of threatening her a little bit, saying, hey, you better be treating this like an actual interview or else kind of thing. And so Brandy asked questions, but she said them in a snarky way. Like, she was like, when are you going to man up and finally face Cody and that kind of stuff over? And Fatu was just kind of, being a evil kind of dick the whole time and just being like, I'll take care of Cody when I choose to, not when anybody else expects it, that kind of thing. Says that he heard the sob story from Cody last week about how he just wants you back, he just wants you back, Brandy, and all this stuff, but Fatu doesn't care. He knows Cody, and and this is all part of his plan, part of his game, and that Cody and everybody else is just going to have to wait to see what the next phase of his plan is. 47 here. Again, I knew it wasn't going to do that great, but it is what it is. It's continuing the storyline for me. 39 here for this. Expected a little bit better, but I also forgot the stats. Promo skills are probably not that good. And Ashley Lane is not as good of a promo as Alexis Kaufman is, so it did kind of bring it down compared to last week's segment. But Chris Statlander is walking backstage when Ashley Lane confronts her and says that Statlander may think that she's guaranteed some title shot, but she has to wait behind Ashley Lane because Ashley's going to get her crown when the time comes. And when that happens, then maybe, just maybe, Ashley will be nice enough to grant the peasant standing in front of her a shot at the title. And Stat says, well, that's funny because I've already been in discussions with Regal about getting a title opportunity, and it might just be before you get yours. And Ashley then gets really upset and storms off, trying to find out where Regal is. So looks like we might be seeing Kaufman versus Statlander before we see Kaufman versus Lane. We'll have to see. 39 here, as we will have to see who ends up getting the next shot at the Women's World Championship. That's around the waist of Alexis Kaufman right now. 55 rating here for the Inner Circle, defeating three, we'll call them jobbers. Lee Johnson, Tony Deppen, and Tracy Williams in 646 when Hager got Lee Johnson to submit to the ankle lock. This was essentially just a continuation of the Inner Circle storyline. The idea that they were still able to work together pretty well in this matchup. And so, Chris Jericho was obviously like, yeah, see, we can do it, guys, we can do it. When it was kind of one of those things that's like, well, yeah, but you guys were kind of expected to win. Like, it wasn't like how you guys have been having all these matches recently where, it was, not to take anything away from their opponents tonight, but there's a difference between, going up against these three and going up against Johnny Gargano like Sammy Guevara had to do a couple weeks ago. But the Inner Circle get a victory here. 55 rating. Hager with the best in-ring performance out of everybody. He had a 55. Jericho with 52. Guevara with a 45. Tracy Williams with a 45. Deppen with 39. Lee Johnson with a 40. Jericho is declining physically quickly, so I have to figure out what I'm going to do with that. I think Hager is actually declining physically too. If he is, I know I already have something in mind for him. Yeah, he's declined physically too. Regarding him, Weber. So we'll have to see, but yeah, we'll have to see where things end up. But 55 here as we kind of continue the Inner Circle storyline where, Jericho's acting like, see, I knew all along. I knew what I was doing. And Hager and Guevara are just kind of looking at each other like, whatever. Just kind of going along with this. Still not 100% confident in Chris Jericho's leadership abilities right now, apparently. 65 here for this, as Mercedes cuts promo. It is really weird. I gotta say this. Obviously, at the time of recording this, we've had, in real life, we've had Mercedes Moné appear in AEW and cut a bunch of promos, which were what they were, to say the least. And then win the TBS championship and all that. And it's kind of funny because, admittedly, some of the promos she's been cutting in AEW would not be worthy of a 65 rating in this game. But so it's kind of funny that she continues to be like one of the best talkers in the women's division here in AEW in this save. But in real life, it's like there are people who cut way better promos way ahead of her at this point. It's just kind of funny that way. Anyway, she doesn't actually come out to the ring for this. She's in the backstage area, kind of before her match that she's about to have, and she says that, she heard from Mayu before. She's heard from 3 Elite before about how Mayu didn't get that opportunity to have that one-on-one match with Mercedes, and she's wanted her one-on-one match with Kairi this whole time, but her best friend Davina has kind of made it clear that she wants to have that one-on-one match with Kairi sooner rather than later, after what happened last week when Kairi ran off Davina after her matchup. So Mercedes says, well, you know what, fine. You want to, I have no problem with my best friend getting that one-on-one match with Kairi before I get my one-on-one rematch with Kairi, because, of course, Kairi beat Mercedes in their first encounter. And so she's like, before I get my rematch with her, I have no problem letting Davina have that one-on-one match first. And so I'll focus on the second member of the 3 Elite that I need to address, which is, of course, Mayu Iwatani. Because, of course, when her and I were supposed to face each other, Mayu got hurt. And so we weren't able to have that one-on-one matchup. So I think it's time to make sure that Mayu learns what it's like to be up against the boss. And, kind of walks away. So kind of seems like we're heading to Mayu and Mercedes one-on-one. We'll have to see when that ends up happening. They got 65. And then the match that she has gets 61. She goes on and defeats Shotzi Blackheart in 734 by pinfall, the Wheelbarrow Bulldog. 43 from Shotzi, 61 from Mercedes. Pretty good stuff there. Getting a victory here for Mercedes. as she gains some momentum ahead of that match against Mayu Iwatani whenever that ends up happening. Gotta imagine that Mayu's gonna have to gain some momentum because she's kind of the member of Three Elite that hasn't really gotten a lot of momentum. You know, like Kyrie's getting a lot of momentum. You know, Kyrie's been getting a lot of decent momentum. Obviously, Io is been teaming up with Mayu, but Io's kind of gotten a decent amount of momentum. You know, she had the pretty good showing against Mercedes back when they had their one-on-one match. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see if Mayu can get some more momentum on her side before eventually having that one-on-one match with Mercedes. We'll have to see what ends up happening with that. We have a 46 rated segment here as Shane Strickland and Angelico have a promo. It's more Shane Strickland talking than Angelico. And Shane's like, listen, MJF, we've been doing this thing for almost a year, dude. Like, I just want to be done with you. You want to keep running away, that's fine. You want to be a coward, that's fine. But then last week you came out and you claimed that you weren't going to run away next time. So how about this? Fight for the fallen. You show up. You and your boys show up. Me and Angelico here will show up, and we'll see if you're really going to be a coward or not. So it looks like we have a challenge issued for Fight for the Fallen. We don't know if it's going to be a singles match, if it's going to be a tag match. We don't know what's going on with it exactly. But looks like we have a challenge issued for Fight for the Fallen. We'll have to see what ends up happening with it. 46 rating. And we'll have to go from there. My God. He's got to give me that skin still. I have to remember to change that afterwards. Jay Lethal, who is quite possibly the ace of the company right now, comes to the ring. He's joined by the House of Truth, but the House of Truth really aren't the focus of this promo, so that's why I didn't really put them as part of it. But he is joined by the House of Truth because they're actually going to be in a trios action after this. But Jay Lethal basically just comes to the ring and says that he is not worried about facing Matt Sydal. Matt Sydal may have gotten the victory last week over Adam Cole on Dynamite, but he's not worried. He's not worried about Matt Sydal. Wait, did Matt Sydal win? I'm pretty sure Matt Sydal won. Anyway, it's been a few weeks since I recorded that episode. He says he's not worried about Matt Sydal. He's not worried about him because he's Jay Lethal. He's the greatest world champion in the professional wrestling today. He's the greatest world champion in professional wrestling history. He's not worried about Matt Sydal. Matt Sydal is a nobody compared to Jay Lethal. He says when the time comes, he'll beat Matt Sydal with ease. And he'll continue to beat everybody else here in AEW with ease. Because he is Jay Lethal, the greatest world champion in professional wrestling. And it'll stay that way. 83 rating. So we're kind of seeing a little bit of a different side, Before he was like, I don't want to give Matt Sydal a title shot. I don't want to give him a title shot. And now he's like, he's fine with doing it because he's already looking past him. He's already like, I'll beat Matt Sydal and then I'll take on whoever's next. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how that plays out. And then in trios action, Matt Sydal comes out and he's joined by Jurassic Express. So it's Matt Sydal and Jurassic Express versus the House of Truth. And in a 68 rated matchup, Jay Lethal pins Luchasaurus with an elbow drop to get the victory for the House of Truth. 46 from Luchasaurus, 57 from Jungle Boy, 78 from Sydal, 76 from Lethal, 48 from Mark Quinn, and 52 from Isaiah Cassidy. It did lose heat for the storyline, but to be fair, that storyline is like a 70-something, so it's to be expected. But yeah, so House of Truth gaining some momentum. Jay Lethal getting some momentum over Matt Sydal, technically, even though he pinned Luchasaurus in the matchup. So we'll have to see if, where that ends up leading with the feud between Lethal and Sydal heading forward. But Sydal tried to see if Jurassic Express would help him out against the House of Truth, and unfortunately, they were unable to get the job done. 68 rating, not bad. Not bad here. Pretty good match. That would have been a pretty decent main event for Dynamite had we already not set up the big main event tag match that's already going to be happening. There you go. Then before we get to that main event, we find out that there is another brawl backstage happening between Brian Cage and Jon Moxley again. I put text in there and it did not save the text because I set it up as I ended up doing I originally put it in as like the already pre put in segment of a backstage brawl, and then I changed it afterwards, but I must have not saved it to change it afterwards. But essentially, what has been happening is Brian Cage jumps Jon Moxley backstage. The two fight for a little bit, but Cage ends up getting the advantage and says, "Mox, fine. You want a rematch against me? You want another fight against me? Then let's have another fight at Fight for the Fallen." So Cage kind of making it. I mean, obviously we have to officially, get it official, but it seems like it's official that it's going to be Brian Cage and Jon Moxley one-on-one at Fight for the Fallen. It'll be very interesting to see what ends up, because he specifically said that they'll have another fight at Fight for the Fallen. So it may not be a regular wrestling match that we have between those two men. We'll have to see what ends up happening. 68 rating here. Then our main event gets a 76 rating. Really good stuff there. As Miro and Tyler Black get the victory over El Generico and Pac in 1421 when Tyler Black actually pinned Pac with a quick cradle. So look at that. Kind of rolling up Pac out of nowhere and getting the 3 count. So Tyler Black staying undefeated here in AEW. Getting him and Miro getting momentum over Generico and Pac in their feuds, their respective feuds there. 76 rating, 67 from Tyler Black, 64 from Miro, 81 from Pac, who carried the matchup. Like, Jay Lethal might be the ace of the company, the unofficial ace of the company, because he can cut amazing promos and is really good in the ring. But technically, he's not the best in-ring worker because that belongs to Pac. And El Generico with a 67. So good stuff there. Gained heat for both storylines. As there you go, Miro and Tyler Black able to stand tall as Dynamite comes to an end, getting momentum over Generico and Pac. We'll have to see in those eventual singles matches between, Black and Generico and Miro and Pac. We'll have to see if that ends up, leading to momentum for Miro and Black in those matches. 76 rating, pretty good stuff there. Show gets a 76 rating. I will take it. Increased our popularity in 47 regions. Pretty good stuff there. Pretty good stuff indeed. That's a successful episode of Dynamite happens here. This is a little bit longer than I normally do these, I think, but whatever. But yeah, pretty good stuff here. We'll let this load up and then we'll kind of go over a few things. So yeah, we got Fight for the Fallen in 2 episodes. And it'll be kind of a special Dynamite. We've already got Brian Cage versus Jon Moxley on the show, on that, quote unquote. I said it wasn't official, but I'm officially making it official. We're also going to get some sort of thing happening with Shane Strickland and MJF, whether it's a singles match, a tag match, whatever ends up happening. We'll have to see if we end up hearing from the Lucha Bros at all about the Young Bucks being fine with having a tag title match in the near future with them. We'll have to see who ends up getting the next shot at the women's world title. We'll have to see with a lot of stuff right now. A lot of these storylines are advancing and doing good things. It's just a matter of seeing where things go from there. So yeah. I do have, next week on Dynamite, we'll probably have a few more matches get officially announced for Fight for the Fallen. It'll be one of those things that, there'll be a few matches ahead of time announced for Fight for the Fallen, but not every single match. Because it is kind of it's a special Dynamite, but it's not like a pay-per-view thing, so it won't be like everyone will know ahead of time what's going on kind of thing. So there is that. All right. Because we have Davina Rose, or Davina, under a handshake deal. She also got hired by AEW. It's interesting. I don't want to show this. I can show this stuff, whatever. So yeah, she got hired by AEW. Pac says that Karen Q needs to learn how to sell. That's fair, honestly. Although her selling is a 62. So I mean, that's not terrible, but that's fair. She's still getting better as time goes on. Daniel says that Lee Johnson has poor ring psychology. Well, you know what? That's fair. He has 49 psychology, but he's only 22. He's going to get better as time goes on. I don't know if that's actually been getting better much at all. It went up 4 randomly at the start of the year. I don't know what happened there, but yeah, we'll see. Maybe it was like, maybe that month he had like a boost, because I think he's a protege of somebody. There's that. Brooke Havoc, because we have Brooke Havoc on our short list. So that's why she showed up on there. Dynamite, 885,000 viewers. Officially behind NXT, who had 1.1 million viewers. But we had the better rated show. So there's that. NXT had a 73. Saw EC3 and Roderick Strong defeat Ricochet and Fabian Aichner in a cage match in the main event. And the rest of the show wasn't that great. But their main event was technically better than ours. So I guess there's that for them. They had a better main event than us, even though we had a better, at least it feels like we had a better overall show than them. Maybe not. I don't know. I mean, technically we did, but there's that. We're not signing Kane. Do not worry about that. We're not signing Kane. Tajiri's unhappy with All Japan. Well, that's not good. That's not good. Suri invented a new move. Interesting. Sarah Del Rey is frustrated. What? Is she still technically a wrestler? Oh. She's still technically a wrestler. Why did I bring her as just a road agent? What the hell? Why the hell did I do that for? I mean, in theory, she technically was retired at this point, but still. That's weird. Oh, whatever. Is she... I just want to see. Oh, she's just on a regular RIN deal, not an exclusive RIN. Well, let's look at that really quick. I don't know. Technically... I think I scrolled past any spoilers that might be on there. Oh, no, we don't even have her exclusively as a road agent. What the heck? Should we bring Sarah Del Rey out of retirement for just randomly? Yeah, because in this save, she was randomly working as a in-ring competitor for a little bit, and then we hired her on from WWE, and she has never actually worked in ring for us at all. She probably would have ring rust. Not to mention the fact that her last match she had a 37, so it would have been good to know at the time, but yeah. Whatever. That's not gonna affect her thing at all, really. But yeah, so Davina working for AAW as well. Mass Striker versus MLW. Interesting. Interesting stuff there. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Got a chance to look at all the notes ahead of time. But yeah, there you go. That's it for this episode. Thank you all for watching. Definitely appreciate it. Next week we will have, or not next week, but in game next week, or our next episode, we will have another episode of Dynamite, which we will find out a little bit more about our special Fight for the Fallen happening in 2 weeks' time, and we'll kind of see where things go from there. So thank you all for watching. Definitely appreciate it, and we will catch you in a future video.